you for joining. So we have US, UK, Canada, Australia. Thank you. Ashley. So just for one thing, one admin issue over here. Andy, I think you're online, and I will make you the co-host so you can admit people in. From today's conversation, whatever I have shared through the emails and through the social media, what are you expecting from today? So I think this is the feedback I want to know, because as we are stepping into the next year of what I want to provide for you, I would like to know, what was your expectation today from joining this? Is it to know? What was your expectation? Is it okay to put it in the chat box? Yeah, all right, got it, everybody. So it's more for information and understanding, and also to implement certain practices. So I will give you all the three today. I will share the knowledge and information of what I experience or experiencing working with clients and who have traumatic experiences in the past, or in the families, or in the ancestral lineage. And I'll also leave you with a few practices or few things that you can take away. And if you want to work on it, I'll also provide an opportunity for you where you can work with me or with my team in the coming months. I'll provide that for you. I put on the screen that every disease begins in the mind, and under that I saw the name Manna, and I kind of found it very funny because that's not my statement, but that's a thing that I experienced and I believe, and I'm seeing it over and over, and that's not coming from me. It's coming from age old. The ancient wisdom talks about that every disease begins in the mind. And when we think about this, and about 3 weeks ago, I was having this conversation about every disease begins in the mind. And this person I was talking to, he said, why mind? Why not in somewhere else? And then I realized that for some reasons, we are not trained to see mind as you and I belong to the same mind. So somehow we are conditioned to believe that mind is in your head, and that's where your thoughts are coming from, your memories are. And we forget, I think, in some forms that say, if me and Deb can be one mind, and so Deb will bring certain elements into my life. When I see Deb, some memories I hit, Svetlana or Mary. So when I see you, you have to realize that you are also my mind. So if we really go into understanding the nature of how this human network works, then the mind is not just in your heads, the mind is around you. Is it possible for you to just view it from this concept that mind is around you? Can I just get some hands? Thank you. Yeah, so people on no videos, I like visual is my feedback, but today I'm not working a lot on healing, but more on sharing the information and giving you practices. Yeah, thank you, Karen. If you can give me thumbs up, that's a good feedback for me, right? So today, for these purposes, we are working from a point of view where the mind is not in your head, the mind is all around you. We are all okay with that, right? That's the premise we are working on. Now, this mind is a concept. And you have seen in one of my newsletters I've written, there is no mind, and I'll talk about it, right? So this mind is a concept. It's not necessarily it's in your head or it is in your body. It's not, it's a concept, and that we are all adhering to. And this mind can be around you and the person, say, for example, if me and Anna, we have some form of connection, and when I see Anna, Anna can bring loads of memories into my life, which can be totally not connected to Anna, right? So this mind is all around us. With this understanding, the mind is all around us, how do we manifest these diseases? How do we manifest them? So when I use the word, how do you manifest the disease, it's quite shocking to many people, because none of us want to be unhealthy. Agree? We all agree that, right? None of us want to be unhealthy. However, what we fail to understand is, in the big scheme of things, it's almost like a rain to the farmer can be a flood for someone else. So what is good for somebody can be totally bad for someone else. So it is not necessarily you creating this unhealthiness or you creating this sickness, whatever is required. So when we understand that mind as this eternal being, or we are all connected, whatever is required to be done, that will do. And if in the process it is hurting you, it is still okay. So you may be thinking, and some of you, I think I saw messages here to understand mind better. But I think we, at least here in this room, we should be able to come out of the concept of me controlling my mind. Instead of me controlling my mind, let us change the language to me understanding the mind. Can we do that? Can we all do that? So it is not at all about controlling your mind. It is about understanding the mind, how this mind is working. And that mind does not have the filters of good and bad for you. That mind will only function like, say, if you drop a ball, it falls. It does not think whether it is falling on a good person, bad person, or it does not think, isn't it? Are you all with me here? So if you drop the ball falls. So that's all it is. So how you perceive it is your perception, and your perception creates the disease. Are we clear here? Are we all with me here? The perception creates the disease. Now, how? For some of you who are asking how this perception creates the disease, right? So there are two types of diseases I talked about. One is you have it or you created in this lifetime. And the second is born with it, or it is in the family and then you're carrying it. Two circumstances. So for the first part of the conversation, I only want to focus on the diseases that have been created for you in this lifetime over here, right? Is that all clear? So we're only focusing on the diseases that you created in this lifetime. So in your lifetime, if you're creating or if you're experiencing any diseases, I only want to share from my experiences when we are tapping into the network of this mind, again, from the concept of understanding the mind and not controlling the mind. When we understand the mind, most of these diseases are generated from one fundamental and primary emotion called fear. Are you all with me? Fear. So that fear, say for example, if one of you have experienced a traumatic experience, and that traumatic experience is nothing but a frozen memory. Can we all comprehend this? Trauma is a frozen memory. It does not depend on how big the experience is or how small the experience is. The trauma is a frozen memory, and that frozen memory is frozen in your body. Can we all see this? Are we all following the thread? Some thumbs up, some hands up. Thank you for my feedback. Thank you. Now, so when this memory is frozen in your body, and at that point of time, again, we as a culture and as a generation, we are conditioned to just get over it, to move on, to get on with life. And because of surviving or because of living in this survival mode, because we as a human race, we are in the survival mode, as a result of that survival mode, we never bothered to unfreeze those memories. Can you comprehend that? Ivan, I can see you. Can you comprehend this? Thank you. Because we failed or somehow to communicate to unfreeze these memories, those memories stored in the body, they will pass through lifetimes or through generations. And these frozen memories, if they're passing from generation to generation, they become the second scenario diseases, which is passing from ancestral or epigenetics or generational trauma or generational diseases or DNA diseases. And if that frozen memory was something you experienced in this lifetime, and if that memory is still a short-term memory, then the mind and the body creates diseases in this lifetime. Are we clear with these two scenarios? Right? Thank you. So now, in the very first scenario of this physical disease, you and I are even bringing a disease into our awareness when it is stopping us from our daily functioning. Do we agree? We are only identifying and calling it as a disease when it is manifesting itself and it is stopping you to function in some form. However, because we are so busy in our minds and we are so busy in our heads, the onset of the disease starts quite early on, and we ignore it in the name of mental strength and resilience. Are you clear? Are you seeing this? So I think it is now time for us to question that strength of your character, the strength of your mettle, and it is time to not fall into it, but also to give due care to the onset of the disease itself. Then, how do you identify this onset? When is this disease starting? How do you do this? How do you even realize this? If I tell you how you realize this, it is so silly, because how do you realize this? When you feel uncomfortable with a person, when you feel uncomfortable with a situation, when you feel uncomfortable with the food, when you feel uncomfortable watching something or hearing something or eating something, that's when there's the onset of the disease. Can you comprehend this? That uncomfortable feeling, that discomfort, is your body and mind communicating to you something is blocked and I'm not able to go forward. It is telling you. Are you with me here? And when that is blocked and when you're feeling the discomfort, based on our conditionings, women and men, if men are conditioned to provide, men are conditioned to be the caretakers, men are conditioned to be the strong people, women are conditioned to be caretakers, peacekeepers, homemakers, and to, in some forms, to keep that harmony. When we are conditioned to play these roles, the discomfort, or the uncomfortable feeling, you are failing to address in the busyness of your lives. Can we see this? And one day you are feeling that discomfort and you're not addressing it, you are accumulating it in your body. Can we see this? That one. So those uncomfortable moments, the moments of discomfort, are your indicators, and how to overcome it. How do you address those uncomfortable feelings? How do you address those the discomfort that you experience in every conversation or with a person or with your child? How do you do that? We will come to it in few minutes. So the first one, can we understand how the onset you can identify or you can recognize instantly when you're feeling it, right? Now, you may now, some of you maybe, if you're feeling it, let me know. Yeah, we'll come to that. Yeah. So some of you may have experienced this. And as I am speaking about it, did anyone think that that's being too sensitive? Anybody got that kind of a thought in your minds, that that's being too sensitive, that discomfort or uncomfortable feeling, you should be strong, more stronger than that? Anyone felt that way? Right, thank you. So that's again the norm, and to be responding to say that this is not comfortable for me. I'm not, even the feelings where you're not able to say yes or a no to a person, these are the uncomfortable moments. When they build up, they will amount as, I cannot say no to people, I'm always saying yes, and I'm a people pleaser, I am not good enough. So these are all the things what you're manifesting over here, which are mentally manifested. The onset happened years ago. Are you all clear with this? How a slightest uncomfortable feeling manifests as, in the language, it manifests mentally, that I'm not good enough, or I cannot say no to people, or I'm always saying yes to people, or certain imbalances that you experience. Now, when that is heightened, these mental symptoms, if they are heightened, 10 times, 20 times, then they're bound to be physical. Did we get this? Did we see this thread? They're bound to be physical because they have to be stored somewhere, and the easiest place to store is your body. Right. Now, we are still in the first situation where the diseases are happening in this lifetime, in your lifetime, through your experiences. So quite one or two case studies I can share with you here. One person, so again, this is in relation to trauma, and so I'm giving you the examples with some form of abuse or some form of trauma in the background. So one person experienced abuse in her life as a child, and she saw that it is happening even to her siblings, and she decided to call it out. And then when she decided to call it out, then she became the bad person of the family because she called out her own loving family member, and that loving family member happened to give up his life. So this child who was only 13, who finally took the strength to share what is happening, and when she saw this, that child at that point of time, she feared that nobody will love her for the life. Can you now see this? We are talking from a background of trauma, and we can have even minor experiences. I'll share that with you in a minute. So this can be the extreme case where a person who experienced something like this decided, I cannot get love from any of these people because this family will hate me. When that happens, so that child then decided, how can I get attention? And from then on, she's drastically started spoiling her health. For no reasons, she has stomach issues. And it goes to the point of her 55th year, and she's still suffering with stomach issues. And when we access the physical manifestations and go and understand the symptoms, that is a very fear-based psychosomatic disease that this person has created in her body. Can you follow this thread? So I'm giving you one example where it is very trauma-based. Now, the second, so this you will be experiencing in your life in the most simplest ways that you can see is if you have any kids around in your lives or in your families, it is simply manifested as someone not wanting to go to a school or an event. They get headaches and stomach aches. Have you experienced this? Right? However, we brush it aside saying that's an excuse, but actually, because the impact is not enough for your attention, you're brushing it aside. But the truth is, the nature of the body and mind is communicated right there. So there is a fear-based emotion that is being stored in the body, which is manifesting as some form of inconvenience that they are communicating. And however, we wear these grown-up caps, and when we experience those things, we try to shove it aside in the name of resilience or maturity or being stronger more than what we should be. Are we clear with this? Right? So the first thing I want us collectively to right now take the decision is you're no different from the child. Can you take the decision? And instead of being this grown-up person, grown-up woman, strong man, can you just step back and just realize you are the child who is extremely aware of that physical symptoms because of any of these discomfort or uncomfortable feelings? Can I just get some thumbs up that you could see yourself as that child who is feeling it? Thank you. Now, yeah, it can be an inner child, or it can be just a metaphor of a child who feels sick, who does not want to go somewhere, or headaches, or not feeling well. Right. Now, the second scenario, this does not have to be so extreme abuse or traumatic experiences. The second scenario, now imagine a child who is totally in a well-groomed family, and he or she is very well taken care of, and then the parents gave all the love that the child needs, and still Because of that, the child puts an expectation on himself or herself that they have to keep the parents happy. Can you see the second scenario in subset of the first one, where it is not necessarily from a traumatic experience, it is from a totally well taken care child, he or she, and then they create this expectation because of one conversation with the parents, and the parents said, "We are spending our time and money on you. You better do your best," is one statement. Can you see this? And that child imposed this expectation on himself or herself, and they create this immense fear of failure, that they do not want to be a disappointment for their parents. And as a result of that, that child, and this is again a real case study. So this person, who is a man in his mid-20s, so this person constantly creates abdominal issues. There are no reasons, no other issues apart from, they say, something with the gut, something with abdominal issues or stomach issues. But when we are in the conversation and when we find out, it is the deep fear, and it goes back to a memory of a very casual conversation when the parents said, "We are spending our money and life on you. You better be your best." Can you see that? So whether it is a traumatic experience which is catastrophic and intense, or whether it is a very plain life, and in that there is an experience like this, you and I cannot judge the intensity of that experience to the individual. Did we all see this? Right? So here, what do I see and why am I sharing this? People or parents with tough circumstances tend to, in my clientele, I have parents and children as my clients. So parents and their children, they are my clients. So I see this quite often happening, that parents who came through the tough situations tend to brush off the intensity of the experiences for the children because they got everything. But when you look at the situation of the child who is sick and who is constantly not feeling well, they are also going through the similar traumatic experience, which may not be the same magnitude as the parent experienced, but it is still the same. Can we see this? Right? Thank you. So now, what's the first thing here? The second one, what I want us to take away is no experience is traumatic or non-traumatic because of how you view it, as big or small. Can we have that understanding now? Thank you. Right. So now that we established that scenario of a traumatic experience leading to a physical disease, and non-traumatic, so-called quotes, non-traumatic, in a very normal life scenario, and how that is leading to a physical disease. Now, how these small or big experiences, how they lead to the small or big physical diseases. So in my client, again, my experience, again, working with chronic fatigue, sciatica, skin diseases, fibromyalgia, including diabetes, they are psychosomatic diseases stemming from basic imbalance of emotions. Right? However, again, we as culture or as a community, we brush aside being emotional and we value being logical and analytical. So we brush aside and suppress these emotions. And these suppressed emotions have to be stored somewhere. And the easiest place is, every individual is a combination of body, mind, and spirit. So you save these memories, these suppressed emotions in this body, mind, and spirit space. Are we all clear? So those suppressed emotions, when you're storing it in your body, mind, and in energy fields, when I say spirit here, not in the spiritual, philosophical aspects, purely from the three bodies, the mental body, physical body, and the energy body, we store the memories in this physical body, mental body, and in energy bodies. However, the mainstream therapies, they focus on the mental bodies. And if our inclination is not towards our bodies, and if we are so focused on the mind and the thinking parts of it, we are ignoring the physical and the energetic memories. Are we all clear? Right? And because we are so focused on the mental plane and the mental aspects of it, even the practitioners and coaches are only focusing on the mind and the mental aspects of it, which is the regular understanding. Mind is head, mind is meanings, mind is patterns, mind is definitions. So we focus on talking and talking therapies. What they're ignoring is this body and energy aspects, which you will not access unless you slow down. Are we clear? So, in order to give a holistic healing to yourself, unless you slow down, you cannot access the subtle energy and the physical memories. Can you just take a moment and digest this? Because I'm giving you here something, so it's again always in your face. It's always told, but I'm giving you that. And I'm repeating it here. I'm saying people are so focused on the mind and the mental plane that they want to go into inquiry, observations, understanding, and they're forgetting the concepts of body and energy. And you cannot access it because you're not slowing down. And because you're not slowing down and you cannot access it, you can never create an evidence for it. And what is stopping you to slow down? Some reasons in the chat box. What is stopping you to slow down? Into your life, go into your situations. What is stopping you to slow down? Or what is stopping everybody to slow down in general? What do you think? Avoidance? Yeah. Why are you busy? Why are you not free? Any more thoughts? What is stopping you to slow down? Lack of money, lack of resources, responsibilities, fear of not having enough, scarcity, people will leave me, conditioning to be productive, afraid of being lazy, lack of honoring self. Yeah. Actively searching for a job, homeless, lack of money. Yeah, they're all the perceived lack of time, prioritizing productivity. That's right. I have to do to be happy or feel worthy, fear of success. Thank you. So those are the underlying motivators that keeps your mind so busy that you cannot start satisfaction. Yeah. So that cannot slow you down. And once you do not slow down, you're missing those vital clues of your body and energy fields. And where we are missing simple things, like how many of you here feel that, oh, I cannot get up early in the morning, or I cannot get up from my bed today, but I have to, and you still get up. Right? So can you see the simple clues are there? And if you're not questioning it, like, why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling that I don't want to get up from my bed? So those are the simple things. And we think we have to solve the biggest complex problems instead of solving the simple things that are happening on a daily basis. So if you and I can focus on, right, how can I how can I feel that I want to get up from my bed? If that becomes your biggest challenge, you are addressing the physical disease, the onset of the physical disease then and there. Are we clear? So have I communicated enough that your clues are simple and you're already getting it, but because it is not big enough to collapse you, you're not focusing on it. Have we got that message from the conversation so far? Thank you. So now we talked about the onset, we talked about the memories that are stored in the body, mind, and energy fields. And if your therapist or if your coach or if your practitioner is not slowing down and they are busy themselves, how can they give you the aspects of the subtle body and energies? And how can they motivate you? Or how can they see this for you? Are we clear? Right. So from here up to this point, I want to give you the conversation that what is important for you, slow down. And anything that is stopping you to slow down, you have to address it. Are we clear? Can we take those steps? So I want you to step back. I want you to take the decision. Anything that is stopping you to slow down, you have to address it. Slow down in terms of your mind. Some people, they just want to sit in the bed and they don't want to do anything. That is not slowing down. That is being lazy, which I will talk about very soon. Right? So anything that is stopping you to be mentally slow, to be mentally calming down, anything that is stopping you, anything that is racing your heart, anything that is giving you the palpitations or the rush, anything that is making you to walk fast, anything that is making you to hold your steering wheel tight, anything that is giving you any of those uncomfortable feelings and butterflies in your stomach, they are the indicators you have to slow down, and you must slow down. Clear, all of us so far? Right. Now what happens? So now we had this onset. Those are the simple clues that we do receive and we are manifesting. So one, we understood how do we manifest the disease from a very fundamental primary emotion called fear. And any physical disease is stemming from a fear other than accidents. And again, that's another whole big topic. Even accident, why they happen, why do we create it is another one, right? We'll talk about that. Then the second thing. The second reason why you create diseases in your body, and this is so fundamental, and I see this happening over and over, I cannot ask for help or I cannot receive. I will be seen lazy if I am slow and if I stop. So the easiest thing is to create, and again, just a minute ago, I said accidents, sudden diseases, hospitalizations, they are also the mental manifestations of physical diseases because you cannot ask for help or you don't want to be seen lazy or you're conditioned being slow means you're lazy or you're not an achiever or you're not an efficient person. So that shame leads to create situations beyond your control. So the mind is creating this opportunity so you can blame something else instead of taking that responsibility onto you. Have you seen this? Did you get this? Thank you. Thank you. So this is another reason why all of a sudden you will see like you push, and all of a sudden for no reason you will see a kidney stone or some uterus issues or bladder issues, and all of a sudden you're hospitalizing, but it is happening as a result of pushing, and to the point where your body and mind are giving up and they're telling, no, this person is not stopping. We have to stop them. And I see this happening over and over in clients' lives. So the second thing, so here, the second one. So next time when you're feeling sick, next time when you think, oh, so have you ever experienced you talking to yourself and say, I wish I fall sick so I can take 2 days rest or 3 days rest. Have you ever experienced that in your life? I wish I'm just in the bed, right? That's a very common statement I hear from my clients, that they wish that they are sick for a day or two so they don't have to do anything. right? So the next thing is, if any of you are experiencing this, and that's a very common thing when you cannot say no, you will experience this because you search for a situation where you impose on the other person. And that can be, so here, the physical diseases. So how we are seeing this, the onset of a physical disease we saw, which is the very first stage. So now the diseases, they progress stage by stage. And there are 6 stages of a disease. So the first one we talked about is that whenever you're suppressing these emotions or whenever you're suppressing these uncomfortable feelings, you are beginning to accumulate the toxins in your body. The emotions and feelings you're suppressing, you're beginning to toxify your body. That accumulation. Then that accumulation moves into the next stage of aggravating, and you will see slight pains and aches. And how many people I see so many people who take pride in their pain tolerance levels. Do you do that? Oh, that's nothing. That's all right. So the pain tolerance levels. So that little pains that you're experiencing, your body is communicating that accumulated toxins have aggravated now. And if you leave that and you pride yourself in, yeah, that's just a leg pain, or that's just an ache here and there, and if you are leaving the clues there, then it moves into a form where it starts spreading in your body. And when it is starting to spread in your body, you will see your shoulder aches, your joint aches, your heels, or wherever you're storing, because there are so many things where we talk about how you store your, if you feel that you're not supported or you don't have a structure, you tend to store it in your bones and hips and structural issues. If you have any emotional issues that you're not able to communicate to people, you will store it in your skin and you will create skin issues. And if you are afraid of change, you create muscular issues. So they're all the, and again, this is not coming from me. This is again not coming from the science, or it's also coming from Ayurveda, it's coming from yoga, it's coming from the Taoism and the Qi. And so everything is talking about this. So you're moving into a point where you are spreading this disease in your body. And then after a point, what happens is it finds the weakest organ of your body, it finds the weakest part of your body, and it will localize. The disease will localize in that weakest part. Have you seen this so far? Are you with me so far? Right. Now, what is the relation to this disease and the emotion? Because your body and your mind are very connected. And the emotions right at the onset that you're suppressing, they're connected to your body parts. And wherever the emotion is suppressed is your weakest part, and your disease will localize in your weakest part. Now, once it is there and it is finding its place, it can be your chest, it can be your gut, it can be your abdomen, it can be your hips, it can be any of these body parts. That's where the disease will localize. And the 5th step is where it will manifest. And once it manifests, there is a discomfort, you cannot move, or the pain is severe, or it is becoming chronic, so chronic pains. And after that, it goes beyond repair, where we cannot work with it physically or mentally. So if you are catching this onset of the disease in any of the first 4 phases, right at the onset phase, or the accumulation phase, or the spreading phase, or the localization phase, if those phases, if you are aware and if you're sensitive enough, then you can work with your mind, your body, and your energy, and you can reverse the disease. However, if you are taking pride in your pain tolerance levels, if you're taking pride in what a peacekeeper you are and how harmonious you are, and you can live with nothing symptoms, then you move into the last two stages. And the last two stages of physical diseases, somehow we are again disconnected to understand that extremities of physical diseases is also extremities of emotional suppression in your body parts. So these 6 stages of disease, when is whether your children or your partner or your colleagues or your workplaces, if we can be free from the so-called judgments, and when we understand these symptoms, we should be able to take some precautions and reverse the manifestation of a simple disease into a disease that cannot be healed. Are we clear so far? Right? So are we just body then? Is it just a physical disease then? We're still in scenario 1. No, isn't it? Now, where could you do something and you didn't do to come to a point where you cannot manage your emotions, you're manifesting physical diseases? So I'm not talking about mental situations or mental manifestations here, because we addressed this in all the past months sessions, where we talked about the narcissistic relationships and all the other situations we create. We talked about depressions, anxieties, what we manifest. We talked about there. And just in the physical diseases space, where is it that you could catch and you missed it? Anyone? From so far the conversation we had, where was the point where you could catch and do something, but you missed it? Yeah, some comments. Where is it? So far we talked about it. Where was that you can catch? Yeah, fatigue. Thank you, Karen. Discomfort. Ignoring emotions. Thank you, Sue. Taste. Thank you. Panic attacks. Yeah. Go ahead. Thank you. So where you could catch that is when you're experiencing those emotions and the discomfort. Again, the life's lessons are in the simple things, and somehow we don't just take it across, right? And how many of you wash your dishes daily or then and there, right? How many of you clean your homes at least once a week, right? But how often do you clean your mind? How often do you clear yourself of your emotions? Right? So these simple habits, if we do, you will never need me. That simple habit of how do you do your dishes? You have your breakfast, you clean your dishes, right? So if you do the same thing with that slightest feelings of discomfort, the slightest feelings of uncomfortable feelings, if you're doing it then and there, you don't need a therapist or a practitioner, because that is your lifestyle, that is your daily thing. So my role here is to ensure you don't need me. But because you are not cleaning your home regularly, you have to go into a spring clean. And how many people suffer with declutter? Have you experienced that declutter? Lot of stuff. That's the exact thing that you are experiencing through your physical diseases too. So the physical disease is cluttered emotion that is not cleaned regularly. Right? So the way to work on your emotions simply is, again, So many people, because they come to this cluttered position of emotions, you naturally experience anxieties, worries, depressions, and then you cannot be calm. And suddenly you suppress that with another tool called meditation. Can you now see this? So you're cluttering everything. And what comes up as a result of it? Now you are trying to suppress that with meditation and sitting calm, shutting yourself from everything instead of cleaning it. Can you see this? So, meditation is the most beautiful tool, but we have our own ideas because, again, we have a lot of guided meditations, we have a lot of people telling you what to do. So, it's easy to depend on it, but it begins with responsibility. We are still in scenario 1. It begins with personal responsibility where you have to focus on clearing your emotions every day. And breathing is your vacuum cleaner. Can we all see this? And if you are just breathing, and again, that's what I said today, whatever I'm going to share is so silly, but we are waiting for complicated solutions. But if you're able to bring in a simple practice of breathing and vacuum cleaning your emotions every day, and that time you can only make when you're slowing down, you will not need a therapist because the therapist or a coach is coming into a play when you cluttered so much that you cannot see anymore, which is the next month's topic, lack of clarity, and why you don't have that clarity or why we cannot see things clearly and the mental framework behind, which I'll talk about next month. But for now, these purposes, it is as simple as you cleaning your emotions, that uncomfortable feelings, that discomfort, the moments where you didn't say yes when you have to say yes and you didn't say no when you have to say no, or you felt obliged to do something that you don't like. That time, if you have given for reflection and you worked on cleansing it or clearing it, or just simply breathing it, because you don't even have to do anything, simply breathing through your nose, you are clearing those emotions from your body. And next day, next set of emotions, clean. Next day, next set of emotions, you clean. And that breathing, again, if you can now make it even more shorter, this moment, this emotion, I breathe. This moment, this inconvenience, I breathe. So how many of us really breathe properly? The solution is simple, isn't it? But unless it is called therapy, unless it is called coaching or trauma healing, we don't think we did enough to prove our strength and to prove our resilience. Are we clear? So we can create one line in the sand that if you have to get it, like Ashley, Ali, Ivan, you're talking about, get that spring cleaning and get that declutter and begin your practice so that you are on it every day. Is that clear for all of us? Can we make the simple commitment? Thank you. Now, so that's the 6 stages of disease. We talked about the onset and what's the simplest thing you can do. We talked about that. Now, here I see some questions here. Anger coming up, awareness while feeling powerless or victim, overwork, thank you. Panic attack, stays, thank you. Then the second thing, Anna, how does being a competitive person or not come into play with doing and not doing or slowing down? How do you differentiate the two and identify whether being competitive by nature or more laid back helps or not? Okay. So for this purposes, competition, the very fact you use the word competition, that becomes your identity, and that identity stems from some form of experience in the past. So competition, efficiency, go-getter, achiever, they're all the identities we assume for either for survival or, again, I talk a lot about the time paradox of future. To create that future, we are very much driven by one of the frameworks, which is meaningful experiences, leaving a legacy, and a meaningful past. So these can be the drivers. And as a result of these three drivers, we create our time paradox. And that time paradox creates that competitiveness, the winning. And again, going back to where what I teach stems to ego and pride, right? So you do not have to be busy to get things done. You do not have to be competitive to get things done, because you can already see the very fact you're competitive means you're already talking about less than, better than. That's already the framework we're talking about, right? So it's about understanding how your mind is perceiving. But that's a completely different conversation, Anna. We can have that conversation if you want to, which is an identity conflicts we can talk about. All right. So now the next discomfort, right? Thank you. And I think Karen mentioned taste, and that's a good one here for you to know. So for all of you, from today, if there is one thing you can do to take care of the physical diseases stemming from experiences, just focus on five senses, because your five senses take the information in. And if you're experiencing any change in these five senses, that is another biggest indicator that something is out of balance, which is your sight is slightly blurred, or you're not able to hear as much as you can, or as much as you used to, or you lost a sense of touch or smell or taste. When that is happening, you know already there is an emotion that was created and that was not addressed, and it is coming up as a depleting sense. That is another indicator. Thank you, Karen, for bringing up taste. Thank you. So they are also the greatest indicators of saying there is a frozen memory and it's an alert, it's an alarm, it's an alert. There's a frozen memory unaddressed. It is stored in this body part because these five senses are connected to your five elements, which is universal. And those five elements, when they go out of imbalance, naturally, you will see one of these senses going low or they get aggravated, right? So that imbalances. Now, thank you. So from this, the second scenario is where we talk about the epigenetics, we call it, or the ancestral or generational trauma, or the DNA-based diseases that we bring into this lifetime. So these, how do we address? What can we do about it? Now, there I take a philosophical or a spiritual view around that. So that is, one, you must have come into this life definitely through some memories, because that's what this ancestral generational trauma is all about, because we bring memories as we are born, which is not a direct result of your this lifetime experiences. It came with you. But what happens is when people are stuck in the destiny mode, or when people are stuck in a mode where I am this, or this came with me, when you are stuck in that mode, you stop the possibility to heal yourself. So one thing I want you to take on right now, I want you to think about if there is anything that you or in your life you're carrying through a DNA or ancestral or generational. I want you to think about it. And I just want you to be open to the possibility that can be reversed and healed. And you have that power in this lifetime. You have that power in this lifetime. And the solution is, again, breathing. Because whatever you have come up with, so what we are doing, we are not just clearing this moment emotions, we are also clearing what we are coming up with us, and that brings into some form of daily practice, some form of discipline that we can work on clearing not just the emotions that we created today, but also the things that are suppressed and are brought into through our cells. into this lifetime. And that awareness, instead of speeding up, instead of becoming busy, and instead of wanting to be an achiever, or instead of being driven by those things, if you can slow down, you can reverse. Right? That, in the spiritual language, they call it the karmic debt. The karmic debt is nothing but the law of cause and effect. So if you're born with something, and if there's an effect, you can reverse it too. And the karmic debt, again, in the spiritual side of the world, any karmic debt, with awareness, with self-inquiry, and with observation, you can reverse it, and you can transcend beyond the body consciousness. And you can heal your body. I'm not going to talk about it because this can take months and months to talk about it, but at least I want to plant the idea that you can transcend beyond the body consciousness through bringing a very small practice into your daily life. Can we all see this? Can we all at least just make this simple commitment that we can provide it? Because I'm using the word and I'm giving you a word today, and I'm not expecting you to understand it. I'm not expecting you to get the length and breadth of this word, what I'm using, but I'm going to share, I'm planting this thought into your minds today, that by bringing this simple discipline of practice, you can transcend the body consciousness, and you can heal your bodies, and you can reverse it. Right? Thank you. So that's the karmic debts and the cause and effect. So when I see people with chronic situations, the extreme cases of cancer, so it is hard on a very physical plane or on a human plane to perceive or to understand why this is happening to me, or how is this happening to me. However, we have to understand that it is also beyond our control where it came to me. But by changing certain things in this lifetime, beyond the logic, beyond the mental plane, you can make a change in your lives. That's the karmic debt, or the law of cause and effect, the scenario 2. Now, how this is all happening, right? So emotions are suppressed. Okay, got it. Memories stored in physical, mental, and energy planes. Got it. So now, what is the real reason then? What is it? And how can you and I make some changes? Right? And this is again, so it's like this what I'm teaching you today, or bringing to your attention today, they're not really out there. Nobody talked about concepts, but just that we don't pay attention to it, and we don't go into the depths of it. Somebody says it and we get carried away by it, but we don't sit and understand it. Why is it? Right? And can you believe, when we understand this, when we are suppressing the emotion, you're creating an imbalance in your system. And the imbalance in your system is simply the imbalance between the heat and cold in your body. Can you see this? Even if you don't see this, I'm only planting a thought. When you're suppressing an emotion, you're creating an imbalance in your system. The imbalance in your system is the imbalance between the heat and cold in your system. The heat and cold is your yin and yang, and masculine and feminine, which is your right and left. Your right and left is your right nostril and left nostril. If you breathe through your right nostril and left nostril, you're bringing the balance. Can you see this cycle here? Are we all seeing this simple cycle here? That simple imbalance, what you're creating, the heat and cold, can be as simple as you cooked a great meal and you left it in the oven to keep it warm. You raise the temperature, you burn it, you turn off the thing, and then you totally cool this food. It just turns nothing, right? Can you see this? Simple. As a simple metaphor, can you see this? You cooked your food, you left it in the oven. You raise the temperature, you burn it. You lower it down, and then it becomes stale. You're doing the same with your body. You're a perfectly good, healthy body. Any emotional suppression that you're doing, you're either raising the heat of your system or you're increasing the cold in your system, and you're creating an imbalance. That imbalance is creating a disease. Now, how do you find this imbalance? How do you know that there is an imbalance in the first place? Right? For that, there is again a simple tool, which is not what I created. It's again ancient wisdom. And they're asking you to observe 3 things. Just 3 things you have to observe for your physical disease. It's a simple practice. Only 3 things. How am I mentally? How am I physically? How is my energy? Right? Is it racing? Is it very calm? Is it lazy? Not wanting to do anything. Can we just observe these 3? Just these 3, nothing else. You don't have to observe anything, just these 3. And how do you know which one is high or which one is low in your day-to-day stuff? You only have to observe few things, which again I teach in my program, which is the 3 innate qualities. And you only have to take care of 5 things, which is the foods you're eating, the people you're talking to, the actions you're taking, the thoughts you're entertaining, and the environment you are in. So I want you to now step back, and I want you to look at in your own minds, or if you have pen and paper, I want you to look at these 5 things in your life: food, people, thoughts, actions, environment. On a scale of 1 to 10, I want you to rate them. Food, people, thoughts, actions, environment. What sort of foods are you eating healthy? 1 to 10. 10 is healthy, 1 is not so good. People, the people around me, they're absolutely encouraging and motivating me, or they always bring me down. Thoughts, I'm always in these happy thoughts, and I'm encouraging good thoughts and not always in the negative, sad thoughts. Actions, I'm moving my body, I move well and I do things. What sort of actions you're taking, and the environment around you. So I want you to rate them 1 to 10. 10 being absolutely good, 1 not good. And can you just give me in the chat box? So food, people, thoughts, actions, environment. I just want the 5 numbers in one chat message so I know. Food, people, thoughts, actions, environment. Thank you. So that's your indicator. Any point of time, you don't have to do a lot of tests to know something is out of balance or out of imbalance. All you have to do, or at least a weekly basis, take stock, or a daily basis, take stock. Yeah, thank you for, yeah. So food, people, thoughts, actions, environment. Score yourself 1 to 10. And when it is less than 8, you know that's your area and that's your responsibility that you have to work on. And it only begins with your personal responsibility and nothing else. Right? So food, people, thoughts, actions, environment. And the food that you're consuming tells you that there is an imbalance. And that's why either you're craving for too spicy foods or too healthy foods or too sweet or too texturous foods. So that's all your imbalances. So simple thing to observe any imbalance in your physical state is to see these things, right? All right, thank you. And now, every organ in your body is connected to an emotion. And by simply breathing or building a practice on a regular basis, you're vacuum cleaning your body. And by vacuum cleaning your body, you are really clearing up the emotions from your body. And by doing that, you're removing the toxins from your body on a regular basis. Now, how and what do you have to do? There is another ancient wisdom where it talks about, any form of anxiety is always stored in your colon, which is your gut. So any gut issue is some form of worry and anxiety, which is again a toxin that you're not clearing on a regular basis. So then once it is clogged, again, lack of clarity, a physical lack of clarity and a mental lack of clarity. So the body does not know what to do. And That's where it does not know where to release it, and you store it, that anxiety, in your colon, right? So while we are focusing a lot on colon cleansing, but that is only a physical cleansing that you're working on, and if you're doing it, but that's only a physical one, but you can cleanse it simply with the practice of breathing, right? So before I take you through a simple process of breathing and working on your emotions, which you can do every day on a regular basis, which you can do. So before me doing that, in your minds, can you make a commitment to set aside that time to focus on your day every day? Just to reflect on your day every day. Can we all make that commitment? I want some yeses in the chat box. Which are your non-negotiables? Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So this is a non-negotiable for you, no matter how busy you are. They are your non-negotiables. So a time every day to reflect on your day and just questioning food, people, thoughts, actions, environment. I'm not asking you to go into elaborate journals. I'm not going to ask you to do elaborate affirmations. I'm only asking you to score yourself on food, people, thought, actions, environment, and am I in balance? If you got all of them 8, end of the day, you know you're on the track. And if not, you know you have to improve. That's the one. Thank you for making that commitment. And now, the second one I'm asking you to do. And again, this is my simple request to you. Can you please breathe through your nose? It's simple, isn't it? It's a human function, right? But I'm asking you, can you please make that commitment to just breathe through your nose, not once a day, every time? Can we do that? Can we make that commitment? Just to be aware of it, because the first thing you stop when you are under emotions or when you're suppressing your emotions, the first thing you're stopping is your breath. These are simple things, isn't it? So, is it possible to just make that commitment? Yes, some assist, please. Just bringing your awareness to breathe through your nose. And I work with so many people, their noses are blocked, their right nostrils are blocked, or the left nostrils are blocked, and they cannot breathe through their nose. So they breathe through the mouth. Can we breathe through the nose? And today, if you're going away, if you forget everything else, and if you only remembering, yes, Manna told me to breathe through my nose, my purpose is served. And this, why I'm insisting on this, or why am I explaining this? When I work extensively in this trauma healing space, I work extensively in working on releasing emotions. And all the cases that I handle are quite complicated. While I can work on the mental aspects of it, of the ego, of the pride, of the identities, like Anna was talking about competitiveness. So if that's in your awareness, that's your identity. So while I can work on those things, working on the mental side of things, and by the time I come to the physical and energetic side of things, you know where we fail? Discipline. That's where we fail. Because I cannot go beyond that. Any coach or a therapist cannot go beyond that. But finding a coach or a therapist who have this information of the subtle energy and understanding the body, mind, and energy, that's a gift. And that I can promise you right now on the screen, you have some of my practitioners, Sue, Mary is here, and then some of you that are already practicing, I mean, they're learning now, but we have Sue. So they are there to understand that, but still, what you cannot do, as the saying goes, you can take the horse to the water, but you cannot make it drink, can you? Right? So where you can fail is we can clear and do the declutter and get all these things out, but you have to bring the discipline of focusing on these 5 areas and breathing. And as you do that, you will not need a coach or a therapist, because you will become your coach or your therapist. And that's the discipline and the practice you need. Are we all clear here what I'm trying to communicate? Are you taking home this, what I'm saying here? Thank you. So a simple discipline, that's so important. So mind, mental patterns, thoughts, energetic patterns, body, we can see all these and we can do the declutter and we do the spring cleaning in 6 to 8 weeks. But where you will fail is this discipline. And that is in your hands. So that's where I talk about personal leadership and personal responsibility. So I want you to now take that personal responsibility. And it's like chicken and egg. Unless you declutter, your mind is not ready to practice. Unless you practice, you will not release it. So you have to take those commitments. So that's your personal responsibility and personal leadership. Take your personal responsibility, commit to your basic discipline. And I want you to now step back, bring your awareness to your body. And this is a practice that you can do every day, at least for 10 minutes. And just begin by breathing through your nose and not through your mouth, only through your nose. And if you have any blocks, you can use your mouth, but otherwise start to begin with your nose. And today we'll only focus on the 5 organs, which you can focus on everyday basis. And that's the emotional cleansing you can start on your own to begin with. And I want you to just take 3 breaths into your heart. 3 deep breath into your heart, only through your nose. Inhale and exhale. 3 deep breaths into your heart. And with every exhalation, I want you to release impatience and impulsiveness. 3 deep breaths into your heart. And any impatience and impulsiveness, release it with each exhalation. And now shift your focus to your lungs. 3 deep breaths. And with every exhalation, I want you to release sadness and any hurt. Shift your focus to your liver. 3 deep breaths, releasing any anger. With every exhalation, release that anger. You don't need to store that memory anymore in your body. Three deep breaths into your stomach, releasing any worry and anxiety. And 3 deep breaths into your kidneys. And with every exhalation, release the fear of tomorrow, fear of being lazy, any fears. Just 3 deep breaths into your kidneys. Thank you. And when you're ready, come back into the room. Thank you. So, any emotions, migraines, headaches, constipation, weight gain, anything is stemming from, we don't have to know it all, but we can know just few things. We can only know one thing and that we can implement. This today I showed you with 3 deep breaths, you can do with 10. And just this alone. So again, this is all ancient wisdom. We are not inventing anything. We are not reinventing the wheel. We don't have to become doctors to take care of ourselves. A simple practice. So is this something you can do on a daily basis just to cleanse your emotions? Can we all do that? Thank you. Thank you. And if you want to be part of something, and if you want to do that, then you can join me. So, like here, me, Sue, every day in the morning, Trudy, and sometimes Karen, yeah, most of the days. So, we do catch up every morning. It's a free morning practice for all of you. 45 minutes, you can come and make the change in your life. It's free. I'm there on the screen and I guide you. Or if you don't want to, you know what you're doing, this exact thing you can repeat. But please do join and make this your practice, right? So I want some commitment in the chat box that you're going to set this up as your practice. So the physical diseases, what you're experiencing, the solution is simple, but you do not have to make it complicated. So some commitments with a yes in your very busy lives, in the need to be efficient, achieving, competitive, all of those things, rich, successful, you must set some time, and it is simple. Solutions are simple. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So this discipline, the very moment this discipline comes into your life, you know the deeper shift has happened mentally, physically, and energetically. So as long as the discipline is not there, you know that that shift didn't happen and you're materialistic. You're getting carried away by the material aspects of life. That it is important for us to focus less on the materialities and focus more on these aspects of life. It is important. And that will give you the outer experiences. We tend to go outwards and we think that will give us internal experience. But after a point, you have to choose to go internal to manifest everything external. So I think let today be the shift to make that internal shift. And if you can make the discipline, if you can bring your attention towards yourself and build this practice, I'm very sure this is going to help you. And I am here, we are here to support you. And some of you who are experiencing PTSD, traumatic triggers, panic attacks, please do schedule a time and we can talk about it. So thank you, everyone. I think let today be a new way of starting your day and a new way to end your day. And the solutions do not have to be complicated. They're very simple. So we can start simple and we can live simple. All right. So thank you everyone for joining today. And I'll see you next month where we talk about mental and physical clarity, as Anna was pointing out today. So which will address into identities and how we confuse ourselves with those multiple identities and how to get that clarity. That's what we'll talk about next month. Thank you, everyone. Love you all. And thank you for spending your time with me. Bye.